Okay, hey, welcome to another episode of On Point EDC. Today we have a really special preview for you of two really interesting upcoming knives that have yet to be released. One of them you've probably seen before. It is actually the Reate knives EXO here featured at the top. And then at the bottom, you're going to see a yet to be named axis lock style knife from Ohlone knives. Both of them are produced by the Reate factory, and both were lent into the channel by Andy Cranes Martin from Cranes Cutlery. So big shout out to Andy. Thanks for sending these over for me to look at. Before they move on to the next reviewer, I did want to share them with you guys very quickly, just because they are very, very interesting and very different. And I've honestly always been a fan of the products that come out of the Reate factory, but not necessarily of all of the designs. So I actually have really enjoyed, let's say, Enrique Peña's X series knives that come out of Reate, but not necessarily very many actual Reate branded knives, which I think is kind of interesting. So very cool to see them releasing more interesting stuff, and you know, excited to share these with you guys. So with all that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys, now before we dive into these and pick them up, very quick wristwatch check. Can't give you too much information about this watch yet, but I do watch reviews, to say the least, on this channel, and I do them a lot. And this is a very cool upcoming pilot's watch in titanium with a hard coating on it. So that's what you'll see flopping around on the wrist. And if you want to learn more about this watch, subscribe, guys. Subscribe so you can catch some of the watch content. But let's go ahead and start off. Which one should we start off with? Let's start off with the EXO, because it's kind of the exciting one that most people probably turned this video on for. So I'll move this really sweet Ohlone off to the side and show you guys this. So apart from being very, very handsome, and you can also see very, very finely finished, look at the details in terms of this crosshatch pattern, the beveled edges here, the man, even the branding was just really, really sharp. You have some level of kind of jimping like structures here, really nice. And of course the micarta inlays. Let's check that out. This knife is dangerously fun to fidget with, guys. So a little bit about the brand. Reate Knives is, of course, a brand that's made in China, but it really has become synonymous with quality in the knife industry due to their record of high quality production knives using high-end materials. Now, this particular type of knife is a gravity knife. So it's basically deployable like an OTF knife or out the front, but pretty much without any preload. So you're just going to use man, and honestly, if it wasn't for this this tripod that's sitting in front of me, I'd probably be whipping this around in all types of different ways. But you can see very simply here, first misfire of the episode. How many more will I have? I don't know, but spoke too soon. Boom. But this thing is a lot of fun, guys. I really, really dig it. It might almost be too much fun, to tell you the truth, and we'll get into that when we get into some more thoughts. But roughly, guys, to give you any idea of the pricing, $277. You can get this from Cranes Cutlery in terms of that blade shape. And the material, this is made out of Elmax super stainless steel. It's a drop point, flat ground, and the handle is, of course, made out of full titanium with these nice brown micarta inlays. The overall length on this one itself is actually 8.78. So this is full-size knife, very, you know, it's large, and probably because it's really meant to have kind of a tactical nature. And you know, if you were to ever get in a knife fight, of course you would want something with a lot of purchase on it, and then of course a nice blade. So this does bring me back a bit to my Marine Corps days when I was thinking a little bit more tactically. The overall length, again, at that full 8.78, almost 9 inches. The blade length itself is 3.7 inches, so just under 4 inches there. And then closed, it comes into 4.87, and then the weight is only 4.5 ounces. And I'm assuming everything in 4.5 ounces is pretty big or pretty heavy, but this is actually, again, it's a pretty big knife. And then when you think about the components here, guys, you essentially have almost 2 handles. Very slick and clean mechanism there, and it basically locks by your of course you holding it, and then you have this piece that is now held into there, and for it to hold closed, same story, it's not going anywhere as long as the handle stays closed. And then you know, of course, if it does come open, it's gonna come down. Same thing here, comes open, it's gonna come down. Sounds great as well. All right, so in-hand ergonomics, very classic. Of course, you have that kind of stick-like handle grip there. Works out really well. I probably wouldn't want to use like any type of EDC cuts or anything like this. I'd probably be more prone to really just keep it in hand for more of a standard grasp, or if I am using it as more of a cutting tool versus a self-defense weapon, then you could still, I think, still use it for cuts. And then, you know, it also has a great steel from that perspective. Now, in terms of the action, guys, very smooth, extremely addictive. In terms of model variants, you get also a green micarta version, as well as spear point options, which is a lot of fun. You know, I like the look of the drop point, but the spear point, again, goes back to that more tactical nature. In terms of comparable models, it's hard for me to really compare this to anything, apart from more traditional kind of out the front style blades. This one is really, really cool, fun. It has a great sound. It has a great interaction here, guys. I mean, everything, all the tactile pieces of this, it just feels really finely engineered, really well put together. Again, you know, comes open. It's a thing of beauty, guys. Comparable models, yeah, it's hard for me to think of something. So here, guys, the bottom line is this is a knife that's honestly so fun to deploy. It might equally both get you in and out of trouble. So you might get into trouble from playing with this a little bit too much, but also if you need to, it can absolutely be something that can get you out of trouble and send a bit of a message, you know, in terms of if somebody's thinking twice before they want to mess with a guy who carries something like this, who really just enjoys fidgeting around with sharp, pointy objects. So with that said, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the unknown character in the room. Also out of the Reate factory. Look at the beautiful inlay here, marbled carbon fiber. Some people will call it shredded carbon fiber. Some people call it forged carbon fiber. Also, you're getting this great milled clip. It rides very, very low, which is nice, but it's actually very thin as well. So I could see that as being a possible issue if you wear thicker pants and whatnot. The ramp is nice though, so it will be relatively easy to put on. I'll also say that this is on washers, and you can see this lock, guys. You'd probably recognize it. It's kind of the Axis lock style. It definitely has a lot more tension than a set of Omega springs, so it's going to have a bit of a different, oh man, the smoothness is there, but the detent not quite dialed in as it would be on something like a Benchmade. But again, this is a pre-production prototype, so there could be a lot of changes. I mean, there's not even a name for this. I just know that it is going to be kind of underneath the Ohlone Knives brand. And it's really nice, and it's something that you'll be able to hopefully purchase from Crane's Cutlery. So definitely check the links in the comments. I'm sorry, in the description below, but just take a look at this thing, guys. Really gorgeous. You're going to get the double thumb studs, so you can deploy it either hand, which is great, and also ties in, of course, to the axis lock style. This thing's on washers, so very, very smooth. Nicely aligned, as you can see, in terms of blade centering. And although this is a pretty hefty, substantial knife, I will say that the heft for me doesn't really hurt as much, just because it's so ergonomic. I mean, it feels really, really good in hand, guys. This is a beautiful knife to hold. I'm really digging this one. And then, of course, it has a very nice ergonomics. So my grasp here, full 4 fingers, and they don't wander. They kind of find a spot, they lock in, and I dig that. It's almost kind of like a I'd say, if you were to think about something like a larger bug out, it definitely gives me bug out vibes. Just way more robust, of course, but definitely kind of in that type of vein in terms of the design aesthetic, which, you know, I wouldn't say that it copies the bug out in any way, because honestly, if you look at the other Ohlone knives, they actually, most of them have a very similar silhouette to this. This is just using an axis lock, so that makes the comparison to a bug out a little bit more natural, but this thing's nice. It's a bit larger, and you guys saw by comparison, it's around the same size as the other knife, the EXO. So this definitely gives you more kind of full-size knife vibes, but this is, of course, more of kind of a utility EDC style of blade, and that's pretty much full flat grind. Is fantastic. Beautiful finish on the stone washing there on the blade. Very, very handsome. Again, not too much information on this piece because it is not released yet. So as you guys are watching this over time, maybe you just dropped more info in the comments below for people that see this and are like, oh, that's the so-and-so's this or that. And this is how much those cost. And, you know, here's what's changed. Here's some of the other options. What's the blade steel? All that stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do hit like. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more content just like this. I just want to get a good flip there to close it out. All right. Thanks, guys.